So because I currently I'm not able to see the feedback, but I hope everyone can see my screen currently. So basically, our agenda for today is we are going to be looking at, you know, a brief introduction to what UI UX design is, understanding the fundamentals, and we're going to be looking at prototyping, testable designs, micro interactions, prototyping tools like Figma, Adobe XD, and so on. We're going to be looking at a little bit into user research, persona development, and understanding user behaviors and their preferences as well. And then to wrap up the session, we're going to do a practical design session where we would be designing some mobile screens like what we have on the screen right now. We would be doing some mobile designs, splash screens, login sign up screens for mobile applications, and also a landing page. We would be replicating the Piggyvest landing page design, and also they are login and sign up screen. Hopefully, we would be able to wrap up all this in less than an hour by God's grace. So right now we're going to dive straight into the into our slides. So first off, what do we have here? So understanding the fundamentals, UI UX design basically. UI design, as we all know it, is the design of user interface elements like your buttons, your text, your colors, your forms, your typography, and all of those things combined together. Basically, elements that the users can interact with. That is what is referred to as user interface design. Everything that the user can see and relate with, basically everything that from text, buttons, everything that a user can interact with is referred to as UI design. So the goal of user interface design or user interface designers is to basically create a aesthetically pleasing design that is consistent and people can actually see and kind of like enjoy the design or what they are looking at. And there are various principles attached to UI design, including visual hierarchy, consistency, feedback, responsiveness, simplicity, and a whole lot of other principles. So next up, UX design. So basically, UX design simply means the kind of like the feeling users get, the kind of like the basically user experience design is like the feeling, the experience that users get when they interact with your product. Product being mobile applications, websites. It could be actually hardware as well. You can also have UX in hardware. So basically, user experience design includes everything that has to do with your information architecture, interaction design, usability testing, all that stuff, and also the feedback you get from users while creating the app or while trying to make changes or trying to make updates to the app. Real quick, I think I am muted here. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. Real quick, can everyone hear me on this call? Let me see. Can we all hear me? Oh, okay, cool. So, so yeah, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so now we just went through what user experience is. So the next point is, the design process itself. So there is a whole lot of things included in the design process, which is simply like the procedures or the steps which a designer takes to create the user-centered designs for their products. So basically, the design process includes a whole lot of things, including your design thinking, your problem-solving methodology, your empathy, your ideation process, your prototyping, your testing and iteration skills, and basically whatever all the steps that lead on to a product designer or UI UX designer actually creating user-centered design. So all those steps are what is referred to as the design process itself. So the next slide is basically now at this point we are defining some terms under UI UX design, basically which are the terms that you would run into from time to time. Also, they are mostly like subtopics and specializations under UI UX design. One of those specializations is user research. So basically, user research simply helps it helps you as the product designer or your company or whoever is designing the product to get useful insights to user behaviors, what your users need, what are the pain points of the app, what are the basically it gives you a fundamental pattern to design like whatever thing you want to do, whatever feature you want to throw out, whatever thing you want to do. Like quick example of user research. From the user research the product designers from WhatsApp had, they were able to determine that, okay, some people don't want to keep the messages in the chat forever. Some people would like to, clear the chat immediately they send a text, something like that. So those are those that feature was created as a it was created as a result of some feedback from users of WhatsApp. They would like to have something that is similar to Snapchat, where they can have private conversations, where after every conversation, you can, clear off whatever conversation you had automatically. So that kind of feature is a result of, user research, user feedback, and then user research happens before the product is launched, during the product launch, and also after the product launch, so that you can have, updates. So basically, user research can be done by, making interviews, doing surveys, observation, analyzing data, and, um, fixing up user personas and user stories that indicate what your users' pain points are. So basically, everything that has to do with user research kind of like guides the design process and also the changes that would occur when the product is already launched. So product being a mobile app, website, whatever you can think of that can be created or designed by a product designer. So next point is the information architecture and interaction design. So basically, information architecture simply means the way you structure data or the way you organize information in your designs. Like in this particular page now, you can see like there is some form of information architecture. You can see the heading of this page is bold and it is in a particular color, while the other stuff is kind of like in a smaller text and in a certain color, which also has a smaller font weight. So these are the things that are referred to as information architecture and hierarchy in design. So something the most important information on the top and large, while subtle other informations are written in smaller text and they are not, in a very loud color like that. So those things are what we refer to as information architecture, hierarchy, visual hierarchy in design. So the next point we have on the slide is visual design and branding. Basically, visual design, most people refer to it as, graphics design, because mostly as a product designer, you are also going to be making some visual design decisions and also some branding decisions for your products, because most companies, most products, they have, a particular color, a particular brand color that they want to go with. So whatever you are creating for that particular brand, everything has to fall in line with that particular color. And most companies, most fan companies, most big tech companies, they have a particular, style guide, which is a particular set of fonts that they use for all their products, a particular set of colors that they use for all their products, a particular set of, visual elements basically that they use for all their products. So those are, the visual design and branding skills or branding techniques everyone needs as a product designer to be able to design, something that makes sense, to be able to design, aesthetically pleasing designs basically. So yeah, so that's all about visual design and branding. So the next point we have here is usability testing and feedback. So basically, usability testing involves evaluating the product's usability by observing the user's interaction with the product and also collecting feedback from users during and after the test. So basically, user feedback, like we said earlier when we were talking about user research, user feedback simply identifies the areas for improvement, and it kind of like informs the team or the developers of the product what they need to do for the next update, what features they need to add, what features they need to remove. So basically, that is as a result of user testing and feedback. A whole lot of user testing went into place before Figma decided to launch their new dashboard. A whole lot of usability testing and feedback went into play before they were able to do that. So basically, that's what you need to know about usability testing and feedback. So the next point we have here is designing for different platforms and contexts. So as a product designer, as someone that is just getting into design, or you are already a product designer looking to improve your skills, one of the things you need to know is you need to be able to design for different platforms. For example, there are iOS devices, there are Android devices, there is tvOS devices, there is web application devices, there is web sites, there is web apps, there is mobile apps, and all of that. So if you are designing a particular thing, like for example, a typical example of that is Netflix. Netflix has a website, Netflix has a web app, Netflix has a tvOS app, Netflix has the iOS app, Netflix has the Android app, and they also have, I think I just covered everything already. So basically, as a designer working for Netflix, your design should be very, very consistent on all those platforms. They should look the same, they should feel the same, they should, be able to adjust the screen. Like in terms of responsiveness, if someone is on a laptop, for example, 16-inch laptop, for example, and someone else is on a 10-inch laptop, or someone is on a tablet, your design should be able to adapt to all those different screen sizes, all those different device types, all those different, things. Some apps also exist on your iOS app, your Apple Watch, or your Android Watch, or whatever it is. So if you are designing for such products, you need to be able to design something that fits all, whatever form your design is supposed, whatever device your user is working with. So that's one thing about, designing for different platforms. Cross-platform design as well simply means, whether it's iOS, Android, all of that. So your design should be consistent, and it should be very, very usable on all the different types of devices that we have. Let's see, our next slide is user research and persona development. We I think we talked about this already. So basically it involves, interviews, surveys, testing, observation, data analysis, everything that has to do with carrying out research, trying to justify your design decisions, and also that's basically a very, very vital aspect of user experience design when you are trying to understand your target audience, what they need, and what they want, features they want to see, and features they don't want to see. So those are the things that involve your user research and persona development. Basically, persona development simply means developing a hypothetical user for your product. Like for example, quick example, if you're designing an app for if you're designing for example, a dating app, for example, if you're designing a dating app, you need to develop some personas, which would be, for example, one persona would be a 30-year-old single guy. That is one persona. A 30-year-old single guy, he works 9 to 5, he doesn't have time to go out, socialize with people, so he needs an app to solve a problem for him. So that imaginary figure that we just created, which is a 30-year-old guy, he works 9 to 5, he doesn't have time to go on dates, he doesn't have time to ask ladies out. So that is a typical persona, and is a typical user of your app. Also, there are several other examples you can get to, for whatever product you're working on. So persona development is a very, very crucial, important aspect of product design, UI UX design, or whatever you call it. So it's basically those research methods, or those research decisions that you take to understand your target audience, or whoever you are building the app for. Next point, okay, all the slides here talk about user research and all of that. So let's just skip through, because we have like 30 minutes to go on the clock. So let's skip through to, okay, usability testing. We already went through this. Okay, interaction design. So basically, interaction design simply means creating prototypes, creating making design decisions that make it easy for people to engage with the app, people to interact with the app. For example, if you click on something and then something happens, you get navigated to another page, or something changes color, or something becomes bigger or smaller. So those things are the interactions that you're having with that particular product. For example, if I hover my mouse on any of the text, you can see that it changes color. So that it kind of like indicates that I am interacting with that particular text on the screen. If I kind of like hover through this stuff, so these are like little interactions that happen when we hover on the things on the screen. So basically, these things are simply referred to as interactions. Those are like kind of like little feedback you get from interacting with a product, basically, which is, it could be an app, it could be a website, it could be anything. So that is what is referred to as user interaction. Those actions and those responses you get, like clicking, tapping, scrolling, dragging, swiping, inputting data, or navigating through screens and menus. So those things are referred to as micro interactions. So prototyping simply means creating testable designs, creating prototypes, low-fi or hi-fi designs, sketches, or whatever you have. For example, what we have here on this tab, these are prototypes. These are design prototypes. It's used to create an overview of how a product would look like before it is actually created. So that's basically what your job is as a UI designer. You create design prototypes to kind of like visualize the idea of your company or whatever products you want to create. So basically, prototyping involves creating testable designs or testable representations of what your product would look like when it is actually created. So next we have prototyping tools. So basically, prototyping tools are all those apps or all those softwares that help you create those interactive prototypes. So there are various designs. There are various different prototyping tools. We have Adobe XD, we have Figma, we have InVision Studio, we have Accelerate RP, we have Sketch, we have some people use Photoshop, some people use Illustrator, some people use a whole lot of other stuff, depending on your preference. So, but currently, like UI UX designers all over the world prefer to use Figma because it is, it's kind of like cloud based. It works with your browser. You don't really need to install anything. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to. You can easily just go on Figma.com, sign up, and start creating designs ASAP. And you can also collaborate with designers online. And also Figma also has a native app as well that you can install on your system. So it kind of like is one of the best collaborative design tools that anybody can use. So Figma is one of the recommended design tools. That's actually what we're going to be using and talking more about today. Basically, Figma as a tool for UI UX designs. So so yeah, those are the different tools that we have, and those are the tools that we recommend. So prototypes, there are different types of prototypes. There's lo-fi prototypes, wireframes, clickable prototypes, hi-fi prototypes, and also functional prototypes. So you can look up the different meanings of this because we actually touched some of these stuffs before. Like the design we have here is a prototype, but it's a high fidelity prototype, which is like the highest quality of digital prototypes that you can have. This is basically like the highest type of prototype you can have. There is lo-fi designs, lo-fi prototypes, which are prototypes that. Oh, okay. So I'm being signaled to wrap up the slides. So let's just run through real quick. So benefits of prototyping, user testing, blah blah blah. So so now down to the core, the core of today's training session. Sorry, is someone asking a question? Did someone say something?
Yes,
Sorry, what did you say? Let me.
yes. I am Brazilian, yes, and I have for you. Neymar or Messi?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you like type it in the text? Because I did not get what you just said. I don't know what language you're speaking. Please just type it in the text so I can understand it better.
Okay, hello everyone. We have some new participants just joining on the call. I just want to find out if everyone is following so far, and if there's any questions and any comments, you can also do well to drop it in the chat box. So I think Leticia, J. Paulo, Mohammed, Ponsiva, and some other people just joined in. So if you guys can hear me, please just signal in the chat box, and we'll know that you're being carried along. And also, we would just skip right away into the live design sessions because I think Google Meet has a limited time on which we can stay on calls, and that's why we have a link for the YouTube live stream, which in case you lose connection on here, we can also follow this training on the webinar session live stream link on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jess is going to take us through the live design sessions now, and I would implore you to follow keenly, and if you
Can you mute your mic? Oh, I think
can
that
also sorry, Jacob.
please mute his mic.
Please mute your call, please. Thank you. Okay, please, Emeka, please let's continue.
All right. So what
Let's
is
continue.
Figma?
Let's dive
Figma.
into the sessions
Okay,
immediately.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically, we all know Figma is a cloud-based design application. You can design application, you can design prototypes on it, and let's see all the things we have here before we go. Okay, so, okay, let me just dive straight into the practical session. So basically, the practical session is, so we are going to be making an attempt to replicate, some of these designs in the next, couple of minutes. So I don't know which should we go with, mobile first or web. So the I think okay, let's just go with let's do this one first. So this what we have here. So can, can you mute your mic, whoever? So to
Sorry, James.
can you mute his mic?
Okay, okay.
So So to create a mobile design like what you have on the screen right now, you actually you must have created an account on Figma, you must have signed in, and then you must have gone through your Figma user dashboard, and then you create a new project. So when you create a new project, you should have a screen like this, a blank screen like this on the. You can now go ahead and rename your project to whatever you want to call it. So I'll just call mine training session. So to get started, you simply want to create a frame. So you just select on the frame tool here and create a frame depending on what device type you are creating the design for. So if you're designing for a mobile app, you use a phone screen, a phone frame. If you're designing for a tablet, use a tablet frame. If you're designing for a desktop website, web app, wherever you have, use a desktop frame. If you're designing presentation slides, on all other type of devices, you just select them from there. So now we are designing for mobile first. So we're doing these splash screens on the screen right now. So I'm just going to select iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is the largest.
Sorry, we can't see your screen. We can't see your Figma screen. We're still displaying the slide
Oh,
thing.
oh, sorry. Okay, just hold on one sec. Um, just hold on. Can you see my screen now? Can you see the Figma tab now? Can you see the Figma tab now? Yes, I think everyone can see the Figma tab. So like I said, we are going to be replicating this designs on the screen right now over here. So let me just start over again. So when you come on figma.com, you create an account. You create an account and then you sign into your account. Then you would be taken to the Figma user dashboard where you have all the projects you worked on, and you also have an option to create a new Figma project. So right now I created a new Figma design project and then I just renamed it right here. So now to get started, you select on frame tool and then you select what device type you are designing for. So currently we are designing for mobile, so I'll just select iPhone 14 Pro Max. And then the first thing we would create a template column grid where we would have like some guides on the side to kind of like show what kind of like what boundaries we have, but we're just going to dive straight in because of our time. We won't be doing the column grid right now, so I'll just dive straight in. So the first thing we can see on the screen is there is a image. There is a image that was used as a background, and there's some text, and there's a button, and then there's another text down here. So we'll just first of all import our image. So the first there's different ways to import images in Figma. You can use a plugin, you can use an image on your device, you can use whatever you have. But currently I want to use a plugin. I want to use Unsplash plugin. So you just you install the plugin and then you just select Unsplash, and then it would come up, and then you can search for whatever image you want to use from there. So let me just remove the person, from the image. So I would search for something. So let me just say man. So I'm not sure if I would be able to get the exact same man, but I'll just use anyone I can find here. So let's just see again. Okay, I think it's a DJ. So let's find something DJ. Something similar to that. Okay, we could use this one. So you select the image you want to use after selecting the frame. So it would, attach the image to the particular frame you are working with. So it should appear there in a bit. So yeah, we have our image there. So the next thing we want to do is actually attach, add the text to it. So we have a text that says made for independent creators. Then we have a button. We have, some other stuff right here. So we're going to, we're going to just add some text to it. So now I'm just going to select my text tool, and then I will add the text tool here. So I would say made for independent creators. Just remove the person. So now to format this text, I would simply increase to bold, and then I would also increase the font size to like 40. So now it's kind of like looking similar to what we have here. So I think I would still increase the font size more to like maybe 60, 64. So now it's looking more like it. So I would adjust it like this, and then position it like this. So what I said earlier, who keeps so what I said earlier, the layout grid. So typically I would want to use a 12 column grid. So let me just use a 12 column grid. So it's gonna be like a guide to what I want to do. So let me just make it more pronounced. So the grid is basically going to serve as a guide to limit where you can go. Yeah, it's also like a guide to the safe area on the sides of the screen. So let me just also reduce this a little. Let me reduce like 60. So yeah, made for creators. Someone is playing music. So made for creators. Let me still reduce the font size a little bit. It's like 48. Okay, yeah. So it makes more sense. Or maybe let's say 55. Oops. So yeah. So the next thing we want to do. So basically, typically in every design, there are typically some about 5 things that you need to take note of in every design, or they exist in every design. Number 1 is images. Number 2, text. Number 3, shapes. Number 4, colors, and number 5 would be space. So if you look at all these designs, they have all those 5 things. There's an image here, there's a shape here that was used to create the button, there are some text here, there's a text here too, and then there are some colors, and then if you check, there is some consistent spacing for all the elements. Someone keeps let me mute my so yeah, now I can't even hear the music. So yeah, so now, like I was saying, there are some things that are, they exist in every design. So images, images, shapes, colors, space, and text. So those are the things that we want to actually create in this design. So the next thing we want to do is the button, the get started button. So basically, to create a button in Figma, you simply just select your shape tool, and then you draw out your shape like this, which is kind of like a rectangular shape. So remember, we have a template, a grid here. So that grid would be like a guide to the safe areas where our design is not supposed to exceed. So now you just create your shape, and then you we will change the color to like the blue color that we have. So to change the color, you just select on the shape and you go to the properties panel here on the side, and then you can select any color you want. So it's kind of like a deep blue color that we have there. So something like this. So let me just turn off the grid so we can see our design properly. One sec. So let me just turn off the grid. So okay, so now it's a lot better now. So now the button has a little bit of curve around the edges, which is like a border radius. So we will just give the border radius 5. So yeah, so now there is also some text inside the button that says get started. So we want to also do that. So we'll just say get started. So at the moment, it is taking the format of this the text we created earlier. So we're just going to resize that. We're going to reduce it to like say 20. So get started. So this is how a get started button should be. Also, it's still bold. So we would also change that and use like a regular font weight. So get started like this. So typically, this is like typically how, and then we'll just group them together. So this is mainly how every button is created. When, but now let me just see if it is actually properly centered. Okay, yes, it's actually exactly where it's supposed to be. So let's just check our guide again. Get started. Okay, so the next thing is the text down here. Already have an account, sign in. So we would do that by simply using the text tool again to say already have an account, sign in. So let's just move all of this stuff up a little bit. So already have an account sign in. So this should be like a little bit smaller than. So this is like 14 as our font size, or maybe 16. And then we would use our alignment tool to center it. So let's check our guide again. And yeah, so let's just also reduce this a little bit. So yeah, so yeah, we're almost there. So now if you look closely again, there is also something like a dark filter down here that kind of like fades out into. So we also want to create that, so because it kind of like gives it gives the text kind of like an outline or an overlay under it. So we also want to create that by creating a rectangle shape like this over the text, and then we would change the color to black, and then use a yeah, something like this, which is a linear gradient. So we would be using a linear gradient to create that effect. So first of all, let me send this to the back. Let me send to the back of the text. So now the next thing I'll do is to actually edit the linear gradient. So we want the lower parts to be 100% dark, while the upper part should have a lighter opacity. So this is how. So now we can see the effect where it kind of like fades out into the picture. The text kind of like fades out into the picture. So we might also want to still edit that a little bit. So let me just adjust that. So that's how it's done. So if you look closely, you can see the effect of what we just did. So if we check the image without the effect, it's something like this. But with the effect, it's it makes more sense than the way it was before. So now typically we are done creating the first screen. So let's see if there's anything else we need to do. Okay, I think the font type that was used is Poppin. So let me just change my font type as well, so it makes more sense. So I'll just change the font type here on the. Let's change it to Poppin. Yeah, so it looks a lot better before. So also I noticed the line height is a little bit high, is a lot actually. So let me just reduce it to like 50. Oh no, that's too small. Maybe 60. Yes. So now it's looking more like what we have here. Also, I think it was semi bold and not actually a medium. Yes, so now we have our first screen down. So now at this point, to create the other screens, okay, let me, still looks a little bit light. So let me just use semi bold. Yes, so it's exactly the same thing now. So for the other screens, pretty simple. You simply, okay, we have one more thing. The sign in, it's kind of like blue. So to create that, we simply, select the sign in here, and then just change the color to the same blue as we had in. But remember when we talked about brand colors and all of that, so that you need to keep on using um, you know that particular color, so your design is kind of like consistent. So the next thing we want to do here is to duplicate the screen and kind of like just edit the content inside, because it's almost the same thing. If you check the three screens we have here, it's almost the same thing. The only thing that changes is the image and also the text inside. So we would just grab on one and then Control D and duplicate it twice. So the next thing we want to do is to change the text inside. So okay, actually the text inside is the same thing. So it was just the image that was changed. So now to change the image, we would simply click on the frame, and then open up the plugin again, our Unsplash plugin, and then we'll just select a different image from the images that are there. So let's just wait for it to open up. So I'll just search for DJ again, so we can get a photo from another DJ. So let's just look for anyone that is kind of like in portrait mode. Okay, found another one. So we can use this one. And then okay, that's perfect. And then for the last one, we would use another image. We can use this one. Yeah, we can use this one here. Yeah, so that's perfect. So now we might decide to change. I actually want to change the text so we can see when we start prototyping the design. We can see the different feelings that we can get. So let me just change this to this app is for musicians and producers, and then let me just say connect with your fans and community. So now we have successfully created splash screens for the app. So I think something is not properly aligned here. So let me just make sure it's aligned to the center. Just use the alignment tool and then make sure everything is properly aligned to the center. Okay. So now basically we just created the three splash screens. So now we can actually attempt some other. Let's see. At the moment, I think the Google Meet just disconnected, so we would create another Google Meet link. So for now, we can make an attempt to create this the Figma, sorry, the desktop design. So let me just copy the assets into this one. So now to prototype this design, we would simply click on one frame and then go to prototype mode. So we'll simply create a flow starting point here, and then we'll create an interaction from the screen itself, and then we will drag this interaction to the next screen, and then navigate here. It should be smart animate, and then from here as well, we want to navigate to the next screen. So we would say same thing, smart animate to the next screen. Oh, perfect. And then from the third screen, we would now go back to the first screen with the same interaction. So now when we go to prototype settings, and then I would select the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Okay, same, it's all the same. So now I would play the prototype like this to see what we actually created, how it looks like. So let's just drag it over to the side. So this is how the design would look on a typical iPhone 14 Pro Max. So let's just hold on for a second while it loads up. So while the prototype is loading, we can start working on the desktop design. So let me just drag this over to the side. Okay, I think it's up now. So yeah, so this is how the design would look like. Let me see prototype settings, because it's actually not showing the device. iPhone 14 Pro Max. Okay, at the moment it's not showing the device I want it to show. Let's open one. Let me check on the Google Meet. Okay, we still have 3 minutes to go on the Google Meet. Okay, so now it would load up on an actual iPhone 14 Pro Max screen on the side. So for now we could actually just get started with our. Okay, I think it's loaded up already. So now this is how the design would look like on an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So you can see like those interactions we created, you can actually navigate from one screen to another screen and to another screen. So basically, it actually makes sense. So if you want to, like when we said prototyping, testing out designs, seeing what they would look like on the screen, seeing how they would navigate from one page to another, and all of that. So that's the essence of creating actual design and prototypes. So now let's quickly, before our time runs out, let's quickly attempt the desktop screens that we have. So I actually just imported some of the assets that was used for that design. So now to create a desktop design, something that looks like this. So to create this, the first thing you want to do is to import a desktop frame. So you click on your frame tool and you import a desktop frame. So you click on desktop here, and then let's say MacBook Pro 16, for example. So let's we're assuming that our users are using a MacBook Pro 16. So the first thing you want to do is go to your template. It's very very important to use a grid layout. So we would go to a column layout. So we would use our 12 column grid, and to be able to position the items on the screen very well. So now I would just grab my Piggyvest logo from there and paste it on the screen, and then I would align it properly to the edge of the. Okay, actually it's automatically aligned itself to the edge of the grid. So now let's see our guide. Okay, I think I should just copy the guide into the screen so I can always see it there. So let me just paste it here as well. So now we have successfully created. Okay, so now we have pasted in our logo. So the next thing, to create buttons, like we said. So now we have two types of button here. We have our primary button and then our secondary button. So now basically to create that, we would use an outline shape. So let me turn off. Okay, let me create this button first. And so to create a button, simply use your shape tool to draw out the shape that you want to create. So I'm just gonna reduce the size a little bit like this. Let me just zoom in. So now it's a black button, or kind of like dark gray button. So I'll just select the color here. So dark gray color, and then it has a border radius. So I'll give it a border radius of like 8. Oops, I hit rotate still. So I give it a border radius of 8. So it now becomes curved around the edges. So now that that is done, so I can just turn off my layout grid so I can see my design properly. So now the next thing I want to do is to add the create free account text on top of the button. So to create that, use your text tool. So create free account, create free account. So after typing that in, so I would just align the text to the center of the shape. So once that is done, I can now group the both of them together. So I'll just Control Command G to group the both of them together. So now to create the secondary button, like we said, consistency in design. Your designs have to be very very consistent. So I would simply just duplicate the primary button I created, and then just edit some of the properties. So I just hit Command D to duplicate the button. So now I want to change it to an outline button. So let me just change the text inside to sign in. So now I would reduce the size to like half. So let's say 344. Half of that should be around 160. So I'll just reduce it to like 160, which is half of the main button. Let me just say 170 or 180. Okay, 185 will do. So sign in here. So now after that, I will just adjust it to come beside this one, and then I will change. Okay, I think it's a little bit larger. Let me just check what size it is. Okay, 185 is actually 185, same as mine. So now the next thing is to remove the. So I would just change. Okay, I would turn off the fill and then add a stroke to the button, and then I would also change the color of my text to black. So now we have basically just created the same buttons that we have up there. So the next thing we want to do is, right now we're working on the header section of the app. So the next thing we want to do is to add the menu items, the nav menu items. So I would simply just the text tool again. So oops, I don't know what I selected. So I'll just select the text tool again, and then I would say save, duplicate that, and say stories. Duplicate that again and say FAQ, FAQ. Duplicate that again and say blog, and duplicate that again and say invest. So now I have created the menu items. So to align them, simply select all of them and hit your alignment tool to align everything to the center. And then also to give it equal spacing, you can say tidy up, so it gives all the items the same equal amount of space. So I would group them and then also select the whole items here and also align them to the center. So now at this point we have successfully created. So I'll just check if everything is okay. So let me so now just check if everything is properly aligned. So at the moment it is not in the center of the screen, so I'll just group it and make sure it is properly aligned to the center of the screen, so we have equal spacing on both sides. And yeah, with that we are basically done with the header section. So the next thing we want to do is the right side section. So that section is very easy. We just simply use this image here. So just grab image, like normally if we did not have this image already in the asset, we would have to create a shape like this, create a rectangle shape like this, something similar to this, and then we would add border radius of like 10 to it. Like you can see there's a curve, the edges of this image is curved. So now the next thing would be to also use our Unsplash plugin, and then to just basically to grab an image from Unsplash, or to grab, if it's a custom image, you can also grab the image and then do a drag and drop to drop the image inside. So let me just say lady smiling. So just fetch some random image from the internet. So now to select the image, you just simply click on the image and then it puts the image inside of the shape. So that's simply how you import an image into your project. So now we already have a image here, which is exactly the same image Piggyverse is using for their landing page. So I'll just put it somewhere here and make sure it's in the center of the screen, or maybe not in the center, but let's just align it to the other items that we have here. So also another asset that we have would be from here. So let me just grab the asset. So I'll just copy that and paste it in. So typically we would actually have to create all these assets on our own, but for in order to save our time and in order to, so that's why they were created already before this section. So that's why I'm just popping them into the design straight up. So now, so let me just arrange this properly. So let me just send this image to the front, so that it appears to the front of what we have. Send front. So now it is exactly how we want it to be. So I'll just adjust it a little bit more inside here. So yeah, so now there that is. So now we have everything all set up. So let me just group them together so we can adjust them together. And so now at this point we are done with we are done with that particular. So let me just adjust it down a little bit. Yeah, so now the next thing we want to do is to create the text on this side, which is probably a H1, and then what we have under here is like a span tag. So the H1 for the main text, we will just same thing, just use our text tool and select on the frame. So we'll say the better way to save, the better way to save and invest. So now that that's done, we would increase the font size to bold and use our pop-ins. Remember, we talked about consistency in design, and then we'll increase the font size like 90 something. So now we have that. So we'll just adjust it, and so let's just see. Okay, we'll increase the line height to say 60. Maybe 100. Yeah. So now, okay, let me change this to semi-bold, maybe medium. So yeah, so now we have the better way to save and invest. We have it on one line. So let's see. So it's so yeah, that's how we create that. So let me reduce the size a little bit. The better way to save and invest. Okay, 70, 80. So just adjusting the line height so we have exactly what we want. 90. Okay. So I'll just change this to semi-bold so it looks thicker. So yeah, we have created that text properly. So that's that. So that's that. So the next thing we want to do is the span tag down here. Piggyverse helps over 1 million customers achieve their financial goals. So to create that same thing, use a text tool again. So just type in what they said. Piggyverse helps over 4 million customers achieve their financial goals. So again, we would adjust the text size to like 16, so to make sure it is like, because what is down here is not really what they want to shout out like that. So it's kind of like a subtext. So we kind of like have to reduce the font size, also the color too. So by helping them save and invest with ease. So yeah, just one sec. Just hold on one sec. Sorry, sorry, my mic was muted. So like I said, we would reduce the font size and the color as well. So let's just do that real quick. So let me change this to 20 and change the font size to regular, and then the color to a little bit gray. So change this as well to like 40, maybe 30. Oops. Yeah, so now we have successfully created our subtext. So we'll just, adjust it down here a little bit and also adjust it here. There are financial goals. It is. So yeah, so now we have that as well. So that is done as well. So the next thing we want to do is to add these two, the buttons down here. So we could actually simply just grab the buttons we have up here. So just duplicate that and create a free account. It's the same. It's exactly the same button. So we'll just grab that and let me make sure everything is properly aligned. And then for the get on iPhone, get on Android, we could use our our secondary button here. So we'll just do that as well. So just create that, paste it down here. So I'll say get on iPhone, and then I'll just increase the shape a little bit. Get on iPhone, and then I'll duplicate this one. So then the second one is get on Android. Yeah, so now the icons inside, I'll just grab them from our assets page here. So let me just grab the iPhone icon here. Just paste it inside, and then I'll grab the Android icon, or Play Store icon rather, and then I'll paste it in here as well. So now we have, so I'll just make sure they are, just adjust it into the shape. I'll group them and make sure it is okay. I don't think it's exactly in the center, so make sure it's in the center first. Yeah, and then I'll group them and then adjust it to the center of the button. So let me just confirm if, okay, so let me just adjust it manually. Yeah, so now it's exactly in the center of the button. So the same thing would apply to this one. So just make sure it's properly aligned. Just group them first and then align it manually. Okay, so yeah, so that's properly aligned. So with that, we have pretty much replicated the design. But let me see. Okay, I think we have a little bit problem with the spacing. So let me create some. let me group this button as well so that we can adjust all of them together. So let me just create a equal amount of oops. Just trying to create an equal amount of space between them. Yes, so now we are pretty much done with this. Just adjust it. So now we have just replicated, this design. So now you can see it's exactly the same thing as when we check the actual piggyverse. That if they've not made any changes. So let's actually check the actual piggyverse.com and see that if they've not updated, if they've not made any changes. You see we have exactly the same. Okay, I think they've made some changes, but yeah, but we have a similar design. They've made some updates to their landing page, but then this is how it was before. So basically, we just replicated the piggy vest landing page design. Now to kind of like now for this um like now as we have here, we have some little animation or some little images changing or something like that. So we can actually like do something similar to ours to, like, for example, just to demonstrate the prototyping, we can change the image that we have here. We can change the image that we have inside here to just demonstrate a little bit of prototyping. So let me just go to Unsplash again. um, Let me just go to Unsplash and grab a different image from there. So let me just say woman smiling. So yeah, I'll just select this one. Yeah, I'll just select this one. And then I'll make a little bit of adjustments on the page. So I'll just move some things around. So now the same way we did our mobile app prototype, that we had a little bit of animation going on. So we're going to do the same thing. So let me just delete this one, and then let's prototype them together. So I would go to prototype mode and do a full starting point, and then I would grab an interaction from here, and then take it to this page, navigate, smart animate, and then from here as well. From here I'll go back to this page, so that way we can have a little bit animation, a little bit of animation going on. So let me select my device again. So now this device, I'm using a MacBook Pro 16 screen. So let me just select that from the desktop devices here, MacBook Pro 16. So now when I play my prototype, so we would see some animation going on. And let me play it on the full screen so we can see the actual device on the screen. So now when we yeah, so it's loading, so let's just let it load for a bit. So while it's loading, we can let me just go back. Okay, we can actually just test it out here before while the other one loads. So let me just still loading. Let's close this one. Still loading. Okay. So now we have it on an actual device screen, and now you can see the difference. You can see the interactions happening when you try to navigate from one screen to another. So I think there's a lot of okay. So let me. I think there's a lot of discrepancy between the two because I brought this one in from um, another file. So let me use this one to illustrate what I want to do. So now let's navigate from here to here, and then from here to here. Yes, so this would give us what we want. So now let me just move some things around again. So let me just do this. Yeah, so let me also change the image inside and splash. Let's change this to Figma. Yeah, so now when we play this interaction, we should see everything should play out better than the way, because this one I brought that particular page in from another file. So let me just do another full starting point here and another device. Okay, so now everything should play out perfectly. So let me just refresh this one. So while we wait for it to load, let me just go back to the screen where we were. Let me just close this one out. So while it loads, let's just see. Okay, so basically, so yeah, I think we're just going to wrap up with this one. So now we can see you can see the animations happening when you click on the screen. So basically, this is what we mean by, kind of like a micro interaction reacting to when I click on the image. It's kind of like a little bit not smooth because it's only reacting to my click. So basically, I hope we were able to learn, basically, definitely we all were able to learn one or two things about, UI UX design, mobile app design, web application design, and basically everything that has to do with interactions. So at this point, we would be taking questions. If there are any questions from the comments, any questions from anybody. So at this point, we would be taking questions from everyone. So does anybody have a question so far? And also, I think I will just pass the mic to our admin. So admin, can you take it from here and let people know how to sign up for the course and how to actually learn further and so yeah, please admin. Okay, I just figured that we are actually not on the Google Meet anymore. So just give me 1 second. So sorry, I had to go off for a bit. So now, so like in 2 weeks, we are actually going to start the whole training session, which is actually a structured 2 month course. So you're going to get details about that in your inbox, like in a couple of minutes or a couple of a couple of minutes from now. So basically, it's going to tell you like about the steps to sign up for our actual the actual structured course where you get to learn everything from UI design, UX design, user research, basically everything we have here and a lot more. This is like just one, one lesson. This material should read for just one session, and there's going to be several sessions for everyone. So in your inbox very soon, you're going to get an email, telling you the steps how to sign up for our our course, our design course. So thank you very much everyone for joining. So we would have probably, yeah, I'll probably see you on the full course when you sign up. So thank you very much everyone, and yeah, see you guys soon.